Hello and welcome to another episode of the Actionable Truth Podcast. I'm Michael Ginsburg. In this episode, I'm joined by Australian musician and songwriter Matt Finlay. The reason why I wanted to chat to Matt is because I noticed that he's taking a very proactive and solution-focused approach to push back against the so-called age verification and other measures that were rolled out recently, with new ones still being rolled out pretty much on an almost daily basis, to stifle free speech and even access to the internet. Welcome, Matt. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's a pleasure.
All right, Matt. So I first actually come across your work through the song that you released with Robin from Courage is the Cure, Daddy Government. So that was
Okay.
in the lead up to the age verification measures that kicked in Australia on December 10th. So I'll include the song. It's a great song, and I especially really like the video. I think the video is funny, and I think I really like the approach that you've taken there. So congrats both to
Thanks.
you and to Robin. I'll include the video and the broadcast where you two launched that song in the show notes. But I guess to start with, can you tell viewers and listeners more about your background and your work, and also I guess how you got onto this dissident journey that you're currently on?
Yeah, sure. I'm not a professional musician. I'll call myself a hobbyist, but I've been a hobbyist for many years. Been in bands and the like, and started messing around recording 10 years ago, probably more. And yeah, it's just something I did in my spare time. But
Okay.
really, once like 2020 sort of kicked into full gear with lockdowns and restrictions and everything, I just wasn't hearing all the artists, like the rebellious artists that I thought would be anti-establishment and anti-government, and they were largely silent. I really wasn't hearing much, and that's when I released the first track. Was in 2020. Sort of not really strongly against the like the lockdowns and stuff, but it was commenting on it, and it wasn't commenting in a positive light. So
Yeah.
that's basically where I started, and yeah, I just wasn't hearing enough. So yeah, I decided just to keep going from there, and really wasn't getting any traction for a long time. But yeah, then Michael Gray Griffin from Cafe Lockdown started a music collective, let's call it, called Culture, and yeah, I jumped in and was part of that, and yeah, I met a whole bunch of other great musicians there that were all doing dissident music.
Nice. So what was the first song that you released in 2020? I'll include that one as well.
Yeah, sure. That was called Jericho.
Jericho. Right on. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
yep.
definitely include that one as well. Okay, cool. So I guess as we were approaching that big scary deadline, December 10 last year, with the age verification measures, nobody really, I mean myself included, and I'm a tech guy, didn't really know how that's going to be rolled out, how that's going to look like, how effective it's going to be, how enforcement going to look like. So,
Mhm.
we all kind of had to prepare with a lot of uncertainty in mind. I mean, I did kind of my own thing. I know covered that previously. People can have a look at previous episodes. But what did you do? Like, how did you prepare, if at all?
I didn't really prepare, to be honest. If I am locked out of social media, I'm not don't really care, to be
Right.
honest. It was more of I got locked. Well, I had some issues, obviously with YouTube, with the stuff. Basically, I've been relying on platforms to distribute everything, and I've had friends that have been locked out or removed from those platforms, and I'd had a few things deleted or removed, and also the sort of the final straw was Linktree. I was using I had used Liberty Links, which was another Liberty minded platform for sharing links, and they went by the wayside. So I relented and went to Linktree, and then I had some. They told me my content was dangerous, and so and gave me some warnings.
You're one of the first people that I've heard, that actually been banned by Linktree. I mean, that is just insanity. But I've heard of people being banned from pretty much anything under the sun, including obviously Stripe, PayPal, Telegram, the whole shebang. But Linktree, well, that was the first for me. But anyway, interesting story. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I haven't actually been banned. The site's still there, but their trust and safety emailed me to tell me that my content violated multiple of their community safety things. So
did they say why specifically? Because I mean,
no.
You post you post music, for crying out loud.
Yeah. No. It was triggered by I started a what is it? The there's a different video platform. I can't think of it off the top of my head. So that sort of triggered them to review my content, because that platform.
Maybe?
No, it wasn't BitChute. Okay. It was I think Mike Adams one.
Brighteon. Yep.
Brighteon, yeah. So it was that one, and that triggered it all. So the Linktree, I think, I haven't checked it, but it's still up there. But I was kind of expecting it to be removed. I have had friends that have had their Linktrees removed as well. So I thought, okay, I really need to make a change. And that was, I think, December. It was earlier than December. And that's when I thought, okay, I'll make my own website, which I've
December last year, you already started looking at potential alternatives and solutions.
It was probably, I was thinking about it for probably a couple of years, but never done anything. Never had that impetus to actually take that action. But it might have been actually September of last year that this happened, and I was really, okay, I need to actually do something. So I put up the website that emulates Linktree in a lot of ways. I've offered it to a couple of other artists as well who have jumped on. So I sort of made it generic, and
I'll share that. Yeah. Let me just actually show people that. So I'm assuming that that's the one you're referring to. Let's have a look.
Yeah, faith.com.
Yeah.
So that's my Linktree style page there. And obviously, I stayed off Spotify for quite a long time.
If you don't mind me asking, so I mean,
sure,
whatever you can say about that. So I mean, how did you build that? I mean, do you have like a technical background? Did you get help from someone? I see that you used a theme from a guy by the name of Anders or Noren or something like that. But how did you basically set this up?
Just a simple WordPress site that's so that theme by whatever his name is, sorry,
Anders Noren. I think.
Yeah, it was pretty close, and I just had to modify it a little bit, and I added a few more features and modified it so I could have multiple Linktree style artists there. Yeah,
and was that the first time
it's all quite simple.
Was that the first time you set up your own website? Okay.
No, I've set up websites. I haven't for years. Well, actually, I put together a website during like those COVID years called goodlocal.biz, which got a bit of traction. It was a geospatial searches for businesses where they had a rating based on whether how they treated customers. Would they turn them away? Would they ignore the mandates and things like that? Did they accept cash? Those sort of things. So
Right.
I put a lot of work into that because there was nothing else like it at the time. But then they usually dropped off, and there's other alternatives now. So I've discontinued that. But that was the first time I'd made a WordPress site. But I had made a couple of sites back in the probably in the 2000s, just coding HTML and the like. So
right. So you weren't like a complete newbie. You did have some background in that, so you did set it up yourself. But yeah, I mean, I must say it looks really, really good. And now you have the capacity to basically offer pages like that to other artists that basically can use mainstream platforms, which is great.
Yep.
So people can contact you and inquire about that. Obviously, I'll include all your contact details in the show notes. But I must say, I mean, that's really good. I mean, I knew, because there's ways to know, I knew that this was set up with WordPress, but I just wasn't sure if you did it yourself or if someone else did that. But I must say it looks really, really good. So that's a good thing. Now, I guess some of the links on this website, so, that's where we're getting into the more, I guess, meat of our conversation, because some of those will not be familiar to people, right? So let's just go quickly through that. I mean, here it's obviously Telegram, Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube, and that's Bandcamp, which I think you said that you still rely on heavily to distribute your music, right?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
But there's people still using it, so I'm still supporting putting the music up there, and I'm still putting them up on the other platforms that I'm allowed to, but I'm not relying on them. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So there's a button here called I'm on Nostr. So we'll discuss that a little bit later. But I guess, before we get to the really the specifics and the mechanics. So you said that for you, once the measures kind of rolled out and December 10 has come and gone, you really haven't noticed much difference for you because you've already faced restrictions from Linktree, from YouTube, even before that, right?
Yeah, YouTube's been hassling me about verifying my age.
Yep.
So I'm not sure whether I put out a video on YouTube and all those platforms recently, just telling people that that's what's going on, and I may not be able to post to YouTube. I haven't tried since then. So, but yeah, obviously that's coming, and it's coming to the other platforms as well. So. Just trying to make people aware, and I've really been trying to encourage people to start using the protocols rather than the platforms. Yeah.
Yep. And that's something that really I guess resonated with me. I mean, my motto now is protocols instead of platforms, and you really really kind of went I wouldn't say all in, but you definitely put significant effort into switching into that paradigm, switching more away from platforms and into protocols, which I think is really, really good. So, all right. So just with the YouTube, it is actually worth noting for people, so people that actually understand what's going on. So I had a look at your YouTube channel this morning. It's still active and live, but basically what's happening for people not in Australia, or for people not aware of that, is basically if you have a YouTube channel, and you don't verify your age, then YouTube will automatically consider you as a child. Now, obviously, when it comes to your content consumption, it will restrict access to certain videos. But if you also have a channel, it will actually hide the channel, right? Because you are a child, and therefore anything you produce is children material. So nobody else can access it. So YouTube will actually hide your channel. Now, as far as what I've seen this morning, your channel is still up there, but it is worth for people to understand how the censorship on YouTube works, because it's not like that they're going to outright restrict your access to the platform, but your channel is going to be hidden, which is obviously a significant thing, including even if people search directly. I don't know what happens if people type the actual URL, if that will show, but if people search, it still won't show. So that's pretty serious. Okay, so we
Yeah.
understand what's happening with the platforms. I guess let's move to the protocol. So I guess you kind of already alluded to that, but I mean, what specifically prompted you? Like, what was really like the big impetus for you to start looking for alternative solutions, other than obviously like being banned and restricted and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I guess it's that was really the main
Yeah.
driver is
So basically, you were yeah.
restrictions. Yeah.
Okay.
But
All
yeah,
right.
I'm always been to open source and things like that. So I try and use that sort of stuff as much as I can. Anyway, and yeah, having that freedom away from those platforms that are controlled and restricted. So yeah.
Good stuff. All right. So how did you go about doing this? Okay, you said, okay, well,
Yep.
YouTube is giving me a hard time, like Substack is giving me a hard time, even freaking Linktree is giving me a hard time. So I need to find like obviously alternative solutions to each and every one of those, or at least to some of them, right? So how did you go about doing that?
Sure. Someone mentioned Nostr to me 2023. That was in regards to music. And I was pretty. I'm still pretty relatively new to social media. I'd never been on social media until 2020. I really wasn't interested in it, and yeah, so I was sort of getting a bit more serious about the music, and I created a profile in using Nostr, and I put a post out, and I couldn't figure out how to use it. It was quite early days, and it was created in 2022. The protocol, and so it was pretty early days, and I was pretty not very great at social media anyway. I got no responses. I couldn't figure out who any of these people that I didn't know were, and I just sort of abandoned it and started on X instead.
Yep.
And yeah, because at that time it was a little more free at that compared to what it had been.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I hate X. I really don't use it other than to post there occasionally. But yeah, so I once this happened, I remembered about Nostr and that I couldn't figure out how to use it. I thought, okay, I'm going to actually have a try and see if I can figure it out. And there's also the Fediverse stuff, but I like the openness of Nostr. I prefer
Okay.
that model. Yeah.
All right. So let's take, I guess, a step back. I mean, you've been now on Nostr a little bit, like, you have a bit of mileage on Nostr. So if you were to explain Nostr to like a complete, like, newbie and like, no tech, no geek speak and no tech jargon. So like, I mean, how would you go about explaining what Nostr is to a complete, like, beginner who's never heard of it?
Well, I like to say it's like email, where anyone can just send an email to anywhere, just as long as they follow the communication rules, the formats.
The protocol.
Yes, yeah, the protocol specifications. So it's sort of like that, where anyone can jump on. You could use any email client you want to, send and receive emails. It's similar to that. It's an open protocol, and you can use any app to send and consume the posts, let's say. But it's because it's open. It doesn't have to just be posts. It can be video. It can be there's a whole bunch of different content that it's used for. So it is very similar. If you're using something like Primal,
Yep.
which is an app that I recommend for people
So that's
because
your
it's
profile.
available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So it's available on on iOS, Android, and on the web. So that's probably a big reason why recommend people start with it. But you don't have to stay with that. You can have use other apps that work more like Facebook or TikTok. There's a whole different ways of how you can experience Nostr.
Yep. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's a good explanation. I guess if I can add like a little bit to maybe even further simplify it to people. So the way Nostr operates, it's exactly like Matt said. So it is kind of like email, right? But with email, you have your email address. With Nostr, you have what's called a key pair. So you have a public key and a private key, kind of like like Bitcoin, which is actually used quite heavily with Nostr as well. And the public key is basically your profile, is your username, right? And your private key is the password. Now, the power of that is that you can use that key pair, right, with any tool or with any Nostr app or with any app that supports Nostr. So Primal is one of them. There's many others, right? And if I, for example, if I were to move from Primal to another app that uses Nostr with the same key pair, right, everything is copied across. So all my messages, all the stuff that I posted will be there. All the people that I follow will be there. Everyone who follows me will also be there. Nothing has changed, right? Because it's what's called the social graph, right? It's not tied in to Primal or to any other app that provides like access to Nostr. It is tied specifically to that key pair. So that is very powerful. And I guess just because you mentioned it, I think it is worth knowing, and this is like something that I literally just discovered yesterday. I'll stop sharing this one. You can actually use now Nostr literally as an email client, right? Literally, you can use your Nostr address, right, as an email client. So let me do that. So that is, I've only come across, I don't know how long that's been around, but it is really cool. Like basically it allows you to use your key pair as an email address. And you cannot just like email other people on Nostr, you can email and receive email, so you can communicate directly with any other like normal like email address. And I've tested it and it works really well, right? So I mean,
I'll have to give it a go.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff here is still seems to be in beta, but that's basically what they call it. They call it the Nostr Mail Protocol. And see, it allows you to communicate with people who have like a normal email. So email anyone, whether they're on Nostr or SMTP, which is like the protocol that the standard email uses. And that's really powerful. And I've tested it yesterday for the first time. I don't know how long that's been around, but I've tested it for the first time yesterday, and it works brilliantly. Excellent. So basically, that gives you an email address that nobody can take away from you, because it's tied. Yeah. Like if you have a Gmail address, you can be banned from Gmail, right? So this is an email address that you can have for life, regardless of like if the service that you use is like still exists or still doesn't exist, or gives you access or doesn't give you access. So just in the context, just because you mentioned, I guess, that Nostr is like email, now Nostr literally has email functionality. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
That is amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's such a it's a little bit of a wild west in a lot of ways. That it's there's this open plains that that people are sticking a flag, sticking their claiming as their own, and making their own apps and coming up with new functionality because it's this open protocol. It anyone can do that, and if it's adopted by other people that find it useful, then you, it. I mean, it amazes me how much development and new features and functionalities getting added to the Nostr protocol, well, the experience every day. Really, every week you'll find something that will make you, your eyes pop.
And I mean, when you think about it, like, that's what the internet was always meant to be. And that's what it was at the beginning, right? Not everyone. I mean, when you look at like really the early days of the internet, people wouldn't go on Facebook, right? Or even like, MySpace, or even like, if you go really back, like, GeoCities or something like that, you'd have all these like IRC chat rooms. There are like there's hundreds
Yeah.
of them, thousands of them, millions of them. Everything was decentralized, and you go to all these like places to like, find all the people that like, share your interests. So I mean, from my perspective, and I mean, I've been in tech my whole life. This is what the internet was always meant to be. So this is
Yep.
the normal. This is the normal. What Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Rumble and Substack, that is the new normal. And we all know what the new
Yeah.
normal means. That's not a good thing. So
Yeah.
people need to keep that in mind, and good on you for like, really looking into that, and like, finding a solution in Nostr. What other stuff have you looked at?
Yeah. So once I figured my way around Nostr, I knew there was some sort of music publishing or distribution related to it or tied in there, and it's really the RSS protocols, podcasting 2.0, which enables. So the way I do it, I host the music on my own website, and I host the feed, the RSS feed. I then submit that to the podcastindex.org, which is an indexing service similar to a search engine, and that gets query. Well, that the apps similar to Nostr, where you've got multiple different apps. With podcasting 2.0, you have any podcasting app basically can read RSS, but there's 2.0 specs adds additional functionality. So there's a number of apps that read the information on that search engine, the podcast index. So yes, my music is fully in my control on my server, and is available on any podcasting 2.0 capable app. But there are specialized music podcasting 2.0 apps, which just give a better experience for music rather than your podcasts or your video or whatever. So yeah, so there's that. Plus, there's also another quite new functionality of Nostr, which is Nostr Music. That's still pretty early. Yeah, so music side project. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that was music side project was developed by Stephen B, who was he really pioneered a lot of this music and podcasting 2.0 stuff, and it has been redone by Chad F, and I've been helping him with the testing and giving him ideas. But this is if you were looking to jump into it yourself, this music's MSP 2.0 is really simple. If you can manage to get your music on Spotify, for example, you can do this. You just need somewhere to
exactly,
put it.
Matt? If you were to describe it, what is the music side project studio? What is that? What does it do?
Purely all it does is generates the RSS feed file.
Okay.
Yeah, it generates that file, which you then drop on your server. So if you've got a server for your band or your artist, you drop it on your server, and then you tell Podcast Index to index it for you, and then like magic, within 30 minutes, instead of waiting days or weeks for it to go onto the streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, etc. 30 minutes, and it's out available for everyone on their favorite podcast 2.0 music app.
Right. Okay. So let me dig a little bit deeper into that, because I'm not familiar with that at all. And that actually sounds really, really interesting. So does that mean that you do not have to pay for a podcast host? You can literally just upload MP3 files to your own website?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So you basically upload all the files to your own website, and then you would go here, I'm assuming, right? And then what would you do? Like, how would you then convert it to an RSS feed that you can use for podcasting?
Yeah, so all you do is you fill out the fields.
Right.
It's all quite self-explanatory, and
Right.
once you've done that, you hit the save button,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you get the option to download the RSS file or an XML file,
Yep.
which has the RSS feed in it,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you put it on your website, and then it's a two-step process, but you put it on your website, and then you come back to this website. You click the podcast index button and tell it where it is.
Index. I see.
Yeah. So then you just put the URL in there, and that'll submit that to the podcast index for you. You can do that yourself as well, just by going to the podcast index, but it's nice to have it all in one spot.
And that supports like all the features that podcasting 2.0 has, like, you can add your, like, donation address, like lightning address and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
There it is.
Exactly.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it's maybe not everything, because it is tailored for music. So there may be
True.
some features. For example, it's got lightning. So it's defaulting to lightning rather than your node or your public key for key send and that sort of thing. But it may actually support key send straight in there by the look of it.
Yep. Okay. All right. So that's we're not going to get too technical, but I think it's important for people to understand the power of that, because I mean, even I thought that, like, whether you're a musician or podcaster, if you want to distribute your content via an RSS feed, obviously there's ways to you can create the RSS feed on your own website, and distribute that way. But the problem is that it creates quite a lot of load on your website, like especially if you have all of a sudden like a lot of downloads in a short period of time, they can bring down your website. So what what most people do is they use a dedicated podcast host, and that can be even still something that you self-host on your own server, but it's a different piece of software that just does that, right? Or you pay a service to do that for you, and they can handle, like, if you have a spike in downloads or stuff like that. This saves you the need saves you from having to do that, basically.
Yeah. So obviously, it's, as long as you're, decentralizing, it's a win.
Sure.
Yeah. So you can switch podcast hosts pretty easily as well. So you migrate from one to another, so you don't lose everything. Whereas you can't do that with YouTube or Spotify or those sorts of things. So yeah.
Okay.
So you can start off with your own, and then move to a hosted service or vice versa as well. So yeah.
Sure. And it's completely free and open source, so people can, if you're a techie, you can even audit the code and see if there's any monkey business happening there, right?
Yeah. So I haven't looked at the code. I'm not a coder, but there's in the payment options there. There's the option for you to provide a split or a percentage. I think it's 1% to this website for using the tool, and also the podcast index, which is invaluable. Everything hangs off the podcast index. Basically, it is a bit of a centralization, but there is a music specific service that will be hopefully coming online soon as well.
Okay.
But you're not reliant on it. You can go straight to the RSS itself if you ever wanted to. So it's just a nice to have.
Nice. Okay. I'm sure you'll be keeping an eye on that. Especially the music specific one, because that's very powerful. But that is something that I've never even heard of. So that's really, really good. And it looks very interesting. And it is very much in line with the original ethos of the internet. The idea is like everything is decentralized, right? You host your own
Yep.
RSS feed. You can handle all of this stuff yourself. You don't have to and you also can save on costs. You don't have to pay to host, to self-host your own podcasting host, or pay to another podcasting host and then potentially get banned and stuff like that. So I really, really like that. I really like that. And definitely I'll include that in the show notes. All right. Okay. So that's pretty cool. What else have you looked at that's worth kind of mentioning?
Yeah, so I mentioned briefly the Nostr music. It's not the technical term, but it's leveraging the Nostr protocol to basically do the same thing, where the main one that works quite well is, well, there's three that work really well that I've used a fair bit. Tsunami without a T, it's SUNAMI.app, is purely just for music. It's an app that leverages Nostr for music. It's also works very similar to MSP2, where you can feed your music in.
That looks literally like a Spotify.
Yes, yeah. No, they've done a really good job. That's quite a new app too.
Okay, so explain to me how that works. Obviously, how does that differ from Spotify, right? Do you upload directly to Tsunami? How does that work?
So you're uploading using the you have to put the file somewhere, and there's Blossom servers, which is sort of goes hand in hand with Nostr. So you'd put if I was adding my music here now, I'd hit the sign in button up the top. That would give me an option for studio, and then I would basically in the studio I create an album, put my music in there, and you don't really have to know anything about how it works. You can just do it, and it'll populate in this screen you've got on the screen here.
Yeah, all right. So the main question that I have is just so people understand the difference. So when you upload your music to, say for example, you sign up for an account, you upload, you log in, you start uploading your music, right? Where is the file physically kept?
It's in the settings. When you're uploading it, you can choose where it goes. So there's public Blossom servers, which are essentially file servers, that you generally use those, and it's because it's using the Nostr protocols. It's signed by your profile. So it can't be modified or touched by anyone else. Sorry, cool. It can be viewed and read, but it can't be modified or removed or done anything like that. Which is another great thing about Nostr is, you've got the legislation in Australia where law enforcement can they can modify your social media, for example, legally, and basically take things down. I think the intention is to remove things that they don't want in there, but who's to say there's nothing explicit saying they can only remove that. They can modify, so they could put things in there and plant evidence, or things like that. I'm not saying it's happened or will happen, but it's open to be abused if it was. It can be done that way. So with this whole thing, everything's signed by, because it's all cryptography. It's signed, every event, every post, everything that's written is signed by your cryptographic key. So there's no sort of backdoors that the platforms have to be able to modify things and change things, because it can't be done that way. They have to have that cryptographic key to do those things. So same with the music.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what's called immutable, or there's also an element of non-repudiation. So you can't say that it's not yours because you've signed your key with your private key on that. But I guess I want to understand, and again, without getting too much into the technical difficulties. So you mentioned with the technical details. So when you upload your music, you can choose one or more Blossom servers that you upload your file to. Now, two questions with that: who operates those servers? Number one. And number two, what happens if the person that operates one of these servers doesn't like your music anymore?
Yeah. I don't actually know the second question, the answer to that second question. The instance can be taken offline. You can operate your own Blossom server.
Okay.
It's just a service you can run. So I haven't done that. I haven't really delved too deeply into the Nostr music side of things. I'm more focused on the RSS side, which has been around longer. I think that's I can't remember when it was started, but it's been about 5 years. It's been sort of bubbling away in the background. Whereas the Nostr side of things is a lot newer. But you can operate your own Blossom server. You could technically put a URL in there to your own web server just using HTTPS or whatever. There's multiple different ways of doing it. Yeah.
So sounds sounds a little bit like ActivityPub, right? Where you can operate your own server, and basically then you can upload directly to a platform, right? That you control. Okay. But I guess what I wanted to understand, and maybe I don't know, I've never looked into that, but maybe you know the answer. So if you upload to one Blossom server, is that server connected to other servers and will replicate your upload to at least 2 or 3 more or something like that?
I think that can be configured. I've never run my own Blossom server yet, but when you use Tsunami to upload it, for example, I think it defaults to giving you the option to mirror to 2 others. So you've not decentralized, but redundancies built in there. So,
yeah, and I mean redundancy is decentralization by definition, so that's really good. Okay, no, that's good, because again, this is something I'm not familiar with, so it's really, really good to hear your experience in that. Okay, so we've covered that. We've covered Tsunami. What other things you think are worth mentioning? So you sent me 2 more things. I think you sent me something called the Nostria app.
Okay, yeah. So that's basically like Primal. It's an app to view Nostr events, Nostr posts, like you would in Twitter, without the algorithms messing you up. But it has music built into it. So that's and you can also upload your music using this app. Like that's the beauty of it. There's just so many different ways of working, basically. Another one which I didn't send you the link to is
before we move to the other one. So would that be an accurate thing to say that Nostria is kind of like a combination between Tsunami and something like Primal? Would that be an accurate thing to say? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Nostria is really an everything type app.
Right.
It's got the you can see on the left there, there's articles. So there's long form articles you can read.
Nice.
In using the Nostr protocols. Chat rooms. I haven't looked at this AI stuff, but there's the clips, which is a little bit TikTok like.
Yep.
The music. There's the live streams. So it's a sort of an all-in-one
you there
app.
Take this right.
Right. Right. So
Yeah.
this one has no. So this is like Nostria, your social network. It doesn't have an algorithm, right?
It has leverages web of trust, I believe, which is using your your immediate social network to verify people. So you can create your own algorithm, not algorithms, but what you see or don't see. You can customize that. So um, yeah, so I'm following you um, through the Nostr protocols. You're following, person Z. So from that web of trust, then I would have a level of trust for person Z based on my level of trust from you. So whereas if someone that's not associated to that, um, my follow group, my extended follow group, I could choose to not see anything from them. Yeah, so it's about because there's like with any social media, there's bots, there's spam, there's things like that. So um, if you don't want to see that, you can mute it, um, but you can't. By philosophically, it's open so that anyone can be heard, but you don't have to listen to
Of
everyone.
course.
You know,
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Yep. So you can curate
you
who you
can.
like, who you follow. Obviously, you can unfollow, you can block.
Yep.
That's something that does exist, but the protocol itself, there's like nobody controls that. Nobody decides what's going to be blocked. Okay. All right.
You can. The apps can have algorithms,
Right.
and there's also relays which can have algorithms in a way, or mute lists and things like that,
Okay.
and you can choose whether you want to use them basically.
Right. So, for example,
So I
like
can choose. Yep.
a
Yeah.
certain
Sorry.
relay can refuse to service you because I don't know, whatever, you're right wing extremist or anti Semite or
Yep.
whatever. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So it is similar to Activity Pub where different instances can block like either an individual user on the instance level, so on the server level. So it looks like it's the same here. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Anything else
I
that you've covered, the kind of discovered, and you think people should know
I think with the I haven't really delved too deeply into ActivityPub, but the whole Fediverse type thing, it's similar to email where you get an account on an email server, whereas with this Nostr thing, it's well, say I'm blocked, then I might have to create a new account on a different server in the Fediverse.
Yes.
That's not that doesn't you can't do that on Nostr. I can just I can't be I can be blocked by a relay, but there's a million other relays that are still out there that aren't blocking me, and I don't have to create a new account or anything. I can keep going the same way. So that's one of the main things that drew me to Nostr over Fediverse stuff. So
Yeah, yeah. No, that's exactly the point. So with Nostr, basically, what gives you access to the Nostr protocol is your key pair. So your private and
Yep.
public key, right? And that goes with you wherever you go. So if Primal bans you, you just go to another app, and everything that you've had on Primal transfers seamlessly to the other app. So basically,
Yep.
no one can. The whole idea with protocol, you cannot be banned from the protocol, but there's a requirement to participate. In order to participate
Yes.
in Nostr, all you need to have is your key pair, so the private public key, right? Whereas with ActivityPub, with the Fediverse, you do need to have access to a server, right? And if you get banned from the server, you lose your access. You can run your own server. For example, I do that because anyone who has a ghost website can run their own server. So I run my ActivityPub servers through my own website, and nobody can ban me because it's mine, right?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. But there's more require, if you don't have a website, right? If you don't want to muck around with setting up an ActivityPub server, and you have to like a Mastodon server of your own, and you have to rely on a server that is hosted by someone else, you can always be banned from that particular server, right? Just like Gmail can ban you. So you can still use ActivityPub, but with another server and with a different address.
Yep.
So you move from Gmail to Outlook. So that's the distinction. And I think that's important for people to understand, because especially if you're not you don't have a website and you're not interested in setting up your own ActivityPub server, then Nostr may be the better option for you, because the requirement to participate, right, to onboard through that protocol is significantly lower. All you need to basically generate your key pair, which is always yours. Nobody can take it away from you, and you can use it to any app or platform that supports the protocol. So that's the important distinction. Okay, all right, okay, Matt.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, I guess if there's no other particular tools that you want to mention, are there, or that you think are worth mentioning?
Yeah, probably. So for getting people onto Nostr, I recommend the Primal app. Because it's cross-platform, and it's got a really good onboarding process. You just basically download it onto your device, and you step through a few things. There's no KYC. You can be anonymous. You can be it can't be. It's not asking for facial identification or government IDs or anything. So basically anyone can do it. It has a wallet built in as well, which basically gives you everything that you need to get started. Then you can just use that your private key to sign into, say, Nostria or any other app you wanted to. And although I'd recommend using something like Amber or a signer that signs into these apps on your behalf without sharing the private key with those apps directly. And similarly for music, if you're wanting to have a listen to some of the music that's on through this, the other part of it is, we call it value for value music, or the value verse, or the new music economy. Fountain.fm is an excellent another onboarding app, because of the same reasons. It's a website. It's available on the all the mobile platforms as well, and it gives you everything that you need to instantly start listening and participating. Probably all your favorite podcasts are on there, as well as music. It does music really well, whereas a lot of podcasting 2.0 apps are focused on podcasts themselves instead of whereas this Fountain does podcasts really well, and it does music really well. And from there you can move to other podcasting 2.0 apps, etc. So I think you won't find. I'd love for people to completely stop paying these platforms, your Spotify's and Apple Music and stuff. And the beauty of this value for value music is everything there is free. All the podcasts, all the music, and most of the podcasting 2.0 podcasts are ad free as well. But that's the value for value model. Is if I am receiving value, the expectation is that I would return value in some way. So I might, like for example, if I set my Fountain app to stream at 1 cent for every song, for example, that's better than what we're getting at Spotify or Apple Music. So it doesn't, we don't get anything from Spotify. It's 0.000 cents of for every stream. So yeah, if you were willing to pay 1 cent per per listen to a song,
Yep.
you're outperforming Spotify by measures, and
And
yeah,
how does
but
the
you don't have
payment
to.
work? So how do I, like,
Yeah,
if I'm listening to your songs and I want to pay you 1 cent per each song that I listen to? So how would that work?
yeah. So that's done in the settings. You can set that to happen automatically, or you can not have that happen, but you just push a button if there's a song you like. You might send them 10 cents. Um,
No.
hey, I
But how
really
does
like
the
that song.
payment itself work? Like, I mean, you don't
So
use
the payment,
Stripe, right? You use something else.
yeah. So it's Strike is set up through Fountain, so you can put funds into it. So if you stop paying Spotify, your $15 a month, for example, and you put that into your Fountain wallet, you could then send through the Lightning payment system there.
So that is important for people to understand, because I think a lot of, like, or those micropayments are obviously based on the Lightning Network. You need to have Bitcoin and all that sort of stuff, and that's where a lot of people kind of, oh, that's a bit too much for me. So what you
Yes.
saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is that Fountain specifically has a built-in wallet, right? That you
Yep.
can load up with, like, normal money, right? And then distribute directly to the wallets of other artists on Fountain that you want to support through whatever model you want. One song,
Yeah.
1 cent per song, whatever, 1 cent per minute, whatever you want to do, right? And you don't have to touch
Yep.
Bitcoin. You don't have to, like, worry about crypto and understand how any
Nope.
of that works, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I try
Okay.
to avoid talking about sort of Bitcoin and things like
The
that. I'm not
reason,
a Bitcoin person.
sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure, and to be honest, neither am I. But the reason why I wanted to highlight that is because
Yeah.
when people hear Lightning Network, they immediately associate that with Bitcoin, and that's where a lot
Yep.
of people will tune out and say, "Oh, look, mate, I mean, I'm not gonna deal with crypto. This is a bit too much for me. So I'd
Exactly.
love to
Yep.
support you, but if I have to go through, like, crypto, buy crypto, I don't know what it is. It's too complicated." Here, it's like literally
Yep.
you buy, like, you get a prepaid card, right?
Hmm.
Load it up with money, and then you just decide for yourself how you want to use it, right?
It's
Now,
just funny
okay,
internet money.
okay, yeah, okay, right, okay. So,
Yeah.
what do you mean by funny internet money? Can you then, as the artist, actually withdraw the balance and use it for something else, like it's real money?
Um, I, I yes, yeah, you can. I haven't. I just anything that I've received, I just re-inject back into the value for value, boosting other artists. Yeah, so it's like a tip basically when you boost. You send them a tip. You might send them your 10 cents or something like that. But yeah, so that is another important distinction is yeah, obviously with Spotify not paying artists unless they're Taylor Swift or whoever that are getting millions of streams. Um, the instead of any money being held by Spotify, it being invisible as to how many streams and what they're worth, all these opaque things that the platforms control, or going to a record company, the like, independent artists can be paid directly. So
Yes.
if you've liked my song and you want to, hey, here's 10 cents, so I really enjoyed that, or you may say you might put in $10, which you can, it's supported as well, and that would go directly to me or however I've decided to set it up. So if I've used that tool we mentioned earlier, MSP2, I've given them a 1% split. So if you've sent me $10, one of those dollars goes to that tool because I've chosen to work that way. So yeah, so it's all transparent and open. It's great for if you've got band members, for example, and you all want to receive those things independently, and the songwriter may get more, things like that. It's very flexible in the way it works. But yeah, Fountain just has everything that you need built into it, and you don't even have to think about it. You can top up, your wallet, your Fountain wallet, using their website or their app, and it's just use your credit card or whatever to do that, and it's all very seamless. So
Now,
yeah,
if I open, so two follow-up questions on that. If I open a Fountain account, right, and I want to like load my wallet to start supporting like artists to the platform, will I need to do like some KYC before I'm able to do that?
you do.
Yeah.
Yes, for Strike require. There's no KYC for Fountain.
Yes.
But to any time you're dealing with fiat into digital
Gotcha.
money,
Gotcha.
it's I don't know how you do it. So I've actually never done it because I've been giving value and receiving it, and then and in return, which then I've forwarded on. So I don't anticipate I'm not going to get rich or anything doing this. It's
Of course.
but it's allowed me to participate in that circular economy and help grow the music scene there.
So you used to have your music on Spotify as well?
Yeah, I've still got
Okay.
some music on there. Yeah.
So how would you compare, like, the two environments, like, in terms of, like, being, like, people being able to support you? Obviously, with Spotify, everything goes into a big pool, and they kind of, like, distribute it based on listens.
Yeah.
Like, how would you compare it to this model?
There's no comparison because right now it's a very small scene,
I see.
and there's a lot of people really keen for new music. So if you're a new artist, or if you're an independent artist, someone that owns their how they distribute their work, you jump on there and get a bit of chat going in Nostr, and you'll outperform what you're doing on Spotify. I basically guarantee that.
Wow. Okay. And do you know of any like cases where, like, artists, like, have done like a little bit of maybe of a crowdfunding, like, before they started,
Yep.
like, right. So
Yes.
they were
Yeah.
able
So
to do
there's
that.
there's crowdfunding that is quite popular. Well, not it's used and advertised in the Nostr protocols. So one artist has recently produced, got their album pressed, and so they crowdfunded that. And so there's not a lot of big artists in
Sure, of
there.
course,
They're
they don't
mostly
need that. They
independent.
don't need to crowdfund.
But it's not that there's any lack of quality. Like you won't see these ones because they're not getting pushed by labels and
Yeah,
Spotify and the like. So there's a lot of really fantastic quality. There's a lot of junk with as much as getting pushed onto Spotify as well, all the AI stuff and everything. But it's not nothing. Quality. You're not going to get Fleetwood Mac or things like that.
no,
But the
yeah,
biggest artists that we've had join was Right Said Fred, who are absolutely awesome. For example, they were cancelled during the COVID years for being involved in the marches and things like that, and they have been fiercely independent since day one as well. So they've been great at really interacting, and when you're supporting them, it's not going to Spotify, it's going directly to the guys from Right Said Fred as well. So yeah.
What I was thinking, I mean, obviously, I mean, one I guess fairly prominent example. So this Australian artist, I think her name is Aya May.
Yep.
Right. So she obviously lost her manager and, like, distribution, like, traditional distribution, because of, like, some of the political views that she has expressed. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if she's tried Nostr, but I mean, would that be like a viable alternative for her? She's obviously very, very popular now on YouTube because people
Yeah.
like what she's doing and what she stands for. But, like, YouTube can shut her down tomorrow, right? And so can Spotify, you know? So
Yeah. I think for Aya, she's probably getting a fair bit of income from these platforms.
Okay.
So there's probably not a lot of incentive to move. But when you're getting paid pennies, you know, if you're not making big dollars, or you want to, you know, mine's more of a philosophical view. Even if I was making big dollars, I'd still want to be supporting this this model. And but yeah, if you're, even if you've got old releases that have sort of done their rotation on Spotify, hey, why not drop them into the value verse, the value for value music stuff? If you're not making much money on them already, yeah, I'm sure there'd be a lot of people who are, you know, thrilled to hear new music in there, and yeah, let the boosts fly.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, no, the reason, and I'm kind of really thinking out loud here, is like, you know, I mean, I kind of look like, you know, her work, and obviously her work is, you know, some of the songs are very controversial, right? And like, I mean, for someone like that, right? And obviously, I don't think she's listening, but like, you know, for someone like that, I mean, it will be minimal effort to, like, you know, also, like, you know, replicate your work across something like Nostr, or like, you know, that Tsunami app that you mentioned, or even the other one, right, Nostria, right? Or sorry, that the tool that you said that allows you to generate an RSS. And you know, just keep doing whatever you're doing in the centralized platforms. Hey, if it works for you, all power to you. And while, like, you know, while the good times are good, then yeah, by all means, keep on going. But like, you know, if YouTube shuts you down tomorrow, right? And even not because of your controversial, like, you know, music, but because, oh, look, I mean, yeah, you need to verify your age. Well, you haven't. Well, sorry, now your channel is hidden, right? I'm not even mentioning Spotify. Then at least you have something else. I mean, at least you can tell, like, you know, you can tell your people, especially if you maintain an email list, like you can tell your fans, well, okay, I've been banned. My music, I've been uploading my music like to the to Nostr, or like to the Fediverse or whatever for years now. Anyway, everything is replicated there. Just move across, you know, and you can continue support me directly. Or if she gets banned by Stripe, or if she loses her bank account, or look, I mean, anything can happen. So I think, and the reason why I wanted to, like, you know, have you on, because, like, I mean, as an artist, especially, I think a lot of artists, and I mean, you seem like you're a little bit more, like, you know, tech savvy than maybe, like, you know, an average artist. But I mean, still, it's very important for, like, you know, musicians and other artists to understand that, like, you know, you need constantly, like, you know, to keep at the back of your mind, like, you know, think of alternative solutions. And you don't even have to put too much effort into that. You don't need to, like, you know, work on, like, really hard on, like, you know, building your following on Nostr or something like that. But if a few years, like, you know, down the track, right, whatever happens, and you know, you lose your main centralized platform that, like, you know, you used to distribute content, everything is already there, and you just tell people, okay, well, I'm already there. They just need to learn how, like, you know, to use that, which in the case of Nostr is pretty easy. And, like, you know, the barrier for entry is very, very low, very low. Doesn't get lower than that. It's basically the same as, you know, opening a crypto wallet, and off you go, you know. So like, the transfer can be very, very seamless. I guess it's the same. Like, I mean, even, like, you know, when you think of, like, you know, Substack, there's ways to move off Substack that are quite seamless without any, like, you know, interference to, like, you know, subscribers. They don't have to resubscribe. They don't have to enter your like, re-enter the payment details anywhere. Everything continues seamlessly. Plus, like, you know, the added benefit, you don't give Substack 10%, right? So it's a win-win situation for everyone. Like, everyone wins, you know. So that's why I think what you've done, and I really, really like that, because I haven't seen a lot of people who really at least try to put an effort into, like, you know, beyond the complaining and beyond the, like, you know, censorship and blah, 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 and, like, you know, digital ID, which is all true. But you actually say, okay, well, what can I do about it? And you've taken some, like, you know, significant action to, like, you know, significant steps into, like acting on that. And now, like, you know, you were, like, offering other people to, like, you know, other artists that maybe, like, you know, lost their link tree or lost their website, like, you know, they can have something similar through, like, you know, through your platform, which is, I think very, very commendable. And yeah, I mean, it's a really good thing what you're doing. And that's why I really, like, I want to highlight what you're doing, because I think it's quite unique. And I hope that people appreciate the effort that you've put into, like, actually, like, you know, studying all of that and putting that all together, and yeah, really, like, you know, setting this up, you know.
Yeah, I've made some videos, like, to show people how to start using Nostr and start using Fountain. It's very simple, but I just thought I can take people through it as well. But if there's any artists out there that want to learn more, or hey, look, I'll get them going, set them up for them if they're interested in doing it. We need to move away from these platforms, and this is it's a fairly mature. The RSS side of things is very mature, and we just there's not that many artists there, so we want more people joining in and spread the word.
Yeah,
and
RSS
if you want to start listening.
For sure. RSS is very, very, very mature. I mean, probably the only protocol that the only protocols that are more mature than RSS is maybe email, right? I mean, this is like RSS, I think it has been around longer even than the World Wide Web. So, I mean, or maybe around the same time. So it is a very, it is very powerful. And I think if more people do like the sort of stuff that you do and help other people and guide other people how to do the same, we can actually save the internet from becoming the hellhole that it's quickly becoming. I mean, really. So, and that's what the internet was always meant to be. I guess, what's next for you, Matt? Like, I mean, in terms of the work that you're doing and both on decentralization and music, any new album or anything like that in the work?
No, I've got new music recording. I've switched to doing EPs based on maybe a particular genre. So I do a lot of different genres. So try and stick a sort of a style, a genre, and maybe a theme, a theme to the songs as well. Like the last one I did was government approved. It was all punk rock, metal sort of style songs with theme of government controls or government type stuff. Nice. But yeah, there's all that. Lots of music going on, and I've got a new podcast as well, which is promoting value for value music. A bit more on the technical side of things of the songwriting, the recording process, and all that. So something a little different to there's quite a few value for value music shows, podcasts available, but just give it something a little different that I can help to keep promoting and grow the scene.
Nice, very nice. So if people want to keep up to date with everything that you're doing, the podcast, the new music, and stuff like that, where would be the best place for people to go right now from your perspective?
Yeah, faith.com/Matt Finlay.
Okay.
That's Faith with a PHAFE. So that's my website. So I've got a page there, the Linktree style stuff. Nostr is where I'm most active, and but yeah, also I'm still posting on the other sites, but I don't really enjoy them that much. But yeah,
and I see also at the bottom you have an email opt-in, so people can also subscribe to your newsletter. Is that right?
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
If you can subscribe there, that would be great. And so my music's on all the platforms. Not the latest EP. The latest EP is only on the Decentralise music value for value stuff or Bandcamp.
Awesome.
But the videos are on the platforms. So yeah.
All right. And if people want to support your work, really, I mean, what would be, I mean, you have a Ko-fi page, obviously, I saw, but I mean, what other ways people can support your work?
Yeah, so Ko-fi, you can buy the album's available. Sorry, my music's available for free on Bandcamp, but it's pay what you want. So you can chip in make a tip or a donation there, and also get some great music. And yeah, it'd be great if you can share. Even just join, start using Nostr and Fountain and get off all these platforms. That's really what the goal is.
So that's your page on Bandcamp. Bandcamp is obviously a centralized platform that obviously there's always the risk that they may ban you. But I mean, do you know, has Bandcamp done a lot of censorship and banning from what you know?
Not a lot, but they have done some. Right. yeah, but not a lot. And they force you into using their payment rails as well. So,
Yeah.
like at the moment, there previously was PayPal, and now they're switching to Strike, and there's a whole KYC thing in that, and I
Yeah.
haven't done that yet. So, yeah, I'm not sure when they're going to switch off PayPal, but yeah, that's what it
Okay.
is.
Cool. Cool. So I guess to end, what would be the takeaway that you want people to have from this conversation?
Yeah, look, if people can just start using these other tools, you start playing on, download Fountain and Primal onto your phone, and just play with it. And if you're banned from a platform, then you've got something there to go to straight away. But look, you might actually find you enjoy it. I really have found the environments interacting in Nostr. Everyone's so great. They're really nice people there. Compare that to the other platforms. Because it's an open protocol type thing, everyone is liberty minded, but it's not a echo chamber. There's all different views from all over. So yeah, you can curate your follow list or create your own group network, and yeah, you can get all different views. So it's not an echo chamber, and but yeah, just do it. It's so easy, and you're not feeding the problem by paying Spotify or feeding the algorithms of Facebook, the surveillance state technologies and everything. So do it. That's what I wanted people to do.
Here. The one thing I would also want to add, because I think that it does an important point that maybe puts some people off. So Nostr is very, very closely associated with Bitcoin. Kind of people think that Nostr and Bitcoin, if you have to be a Bitcoin, maximalist or whatever to be on Nostr and all that sort of stuff, because a lot of the Bitcoin people promote that as well, but obviously because of the nature of the payments there. It's very important for people to understand that Nostr is a protocol, and the platforms that are built around it are definitely also suited to you if you don't care about Bitcoin, if you think Bitcoin is a scam, if you think Bitcoin was created by the NSA, which maybe it has, I don't know, but it doesn't matter, because the payment side of things is one aspect of it, but the content distribution and the fact that the content is decentralized and the fact that your own profile and social graph are portable, that is the power of Nostr. That is the killer feature from my perspective, at least, and that's very important for people to understand. So even if you don't care the slightest about Bitcoin, have a look at Nostr. There's serious things there that are happening that may potentially be game changing as we move into an environment that is increasingly more hostile, in terms of censorship, age verification, show your papers and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, good on you, Matt. I'm really happy to see that you're really making leeway in and making headway in this particular field. So yeah, thanks for coming
I'll just
on.
add. I'll just add, I've had no interest in Bitcoin, and you can learn there's a lot of people into Bitcoin on there, but I don't really see it because they're not the people I follow. So yeah, don't be scared of that.
So that's a very important point, because I do know, and I did hear it from people that oh look, it's too much like Bitcoin. I don't like Bitcoin, and it's probably not for me. Bitcoin is just one aspect of that. It's if you you can go it's you can go on Twitter and see Andrew Tate videos, but that is just one aspect of Twitter. There's has nothing to do with that. It's just a distribution platform. It's not a distribution platform. It's a distribution protocol, and that's where it becomes powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully people understand that, and join you on Nostr, and support your work through the mechanisms that are available there, and through the value for value system. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Matt. I really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your insights as well. I think it's really good.
Thank you for having me. It's been great. Thank you.
Cheers.